Hello, security pros. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on today's ESA webinar. Today's webinar is titled Modernizing Smart Security, how Ezlo Protect helps integrators reduce costs and strengthen RMR. Learn how today's leading dealers and integrators are using Ezlo Protect to streamline system design, cut hardware expenses, and build more reliable recurring revenue models. I'm Ana Magayon, a marketing specialist at ESA, and I'm excited to lead this webinar today. Before we dive in, I'd like to provide some tips for those of you joining us on your first ESA webinar. Welcome. You will be muted for the duration of the session, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. If a question or comment comes to mind at any point during today's session, click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and I'll ensure we save some time for your questions with our expert today. We'll also be recording this webinar so you can rewatch the on-demand session and share it with your colleagues. Tomorrow you'll receive an email thanking you for your attendance today with a link to the recording. Also, calling all security pros who are ready to take your career to new heights. Don't miss out on the opportunity to join us at ESX 2026. Registration is now open for June 1st through 4th in Irving, Texas, for the premier event in the electronic security and life safety industry. With engaging sessions, valuable networking opportunities, and cutting-edge technology exhibits, ESX promises to be an unforgettable experience. We at ESA realize your time is valuable and appreciate you spending some of that time with us today. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Ken Cromwell, the Director of Security Sales at Ezlo. Ken, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, I also want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to see what I'm going to be presenting today. And hopefully we'll get a lot of feedback from you. So we'll just dive right on in. So, I know most of you have never even heard of Ezlo, so I start this off with a kind of a background history of how we became, to be Ezlo. And it started through acquisitions. So we acquired 4 companies along the way. Some of them you may have recognized. Vera is a company that had a smart home platform. They started that in about 2008. Ran by Vera Controls, and then we acquired them in 2018. So this is a smart home platform, more fitted to the DIY types. Along with that came Mios, which Mios is the platform behind it that drives everything. It's the software, it goes for our portals, for our apps. And then we also acquired them in 2018, along with the acquisition of Vera. Central Light is a manufacturer of Zigbee sensors, so door window sensors, motion sensors, temperature, humidity, water sensors. They were primarily working in the OEM space for, you can see up there, Comcast, Lowe's, SmartThings, Wink, Time Warner, and then we acquired that company in 2019. And then finally, the last one that some of you probably have seen before is Fortress, a Z-Wave smart water shutoff valve. We acquired them in 2018. It was pretty popular back in the day. Unfortunately, during the COVID times, we were no longer able to manufacture that. But luckily, we do today have version 2 of it, which is a lot more flexible. Won't spend a lot of time on that today, but just so you'll know, there is a Wi-Fi version, so it can be standalone. Use our app to control the water valve, detect water where it shouldn't be, shut off water coming into the home. And then there's the Z-Wave version, which can be used with just about any platform. So a little bit more on Mios, and the main thing to understand is it's not a new platform. We have over 161,000 hubs that are currently deployed. What is new is going to be Ezlo moving into the dealer security space, right? So we're not abandoning DIY. I wanted to say that right up front. We're still going to have our DIY offering, but we're also developing products specifically for the security dealers, and it'll be only available to those security dealers. So 2025, property management is a huge market for us. We have some hubs deployed for people to manage, vacation homes, all the way up to a company that builds and buys single-family homes strictly to rent. They're throughout the entire country. They utilize our platform to manage those homes, mainly when they're empty, so that they can provide, people to come by and visit the homes without having to have a person there with them. They put a temporary code into the system. They can adjust the temperature of the home, so when it's empty, they're not heating and cooling unnecessarily. But they also allow the renter to utilize those features with their app. We do some OEM manufacturing also. We still support those DIY manufacturers. But again, the security dealers are where I am focused. That's my job here at Ezlo, working with you guys. So quickly looking at the hardware, there's two different hubs that we work with. We have the Ezlo Secure Hub, and then we have the Ezlo Plus Hub. Both of them will do Zigbee devices, Z-Wave devices, IP devices. You know, they'll give you everything you need to do home automation on its own. With the Ezlo Secure, we add a little bit more to that. We're going to throw in a 345 megahertz radio for the security sensors. So your legacy 2 gig, legacy Honeywell sensors are compatible with us. Actually, if you order our kits today, you actually get 2 gig sensors in there because you know the one of the companies along the way was actually owned by Linear, who owned 2 gig at the time, and we still have a very good working relationship with them. Also inside the Ezlo Secure Hub is going to be the backup battery, the siren, and an LTE radio. Now, when we talk about the LTE radio, it's not going to be to a specific carrier. It is going to be what we call carrier agnostic. So it's just going to pick the strongest LTE signal, and it'll connect to that antenna. If for some reason that antenna goes down, it's swapped over to the next signal that it can find. So you don't have to have multiple carriers in your inventory. You carry one, and you're good to go. Another component to it is going to be the auxiliary 10-inch touchscreen. So right now we have the largest touchscreen in the security space. It can be connected to the local network via Wi-Fi or over Ethernet, and that Ethernet connection is also PoE capable. So you run one Category 6 cable to the touchscreen from your PoE switch, and you're up and running. Comes with the wall mount. There is an optional desk mount that you can add to the system if you need that. But that larger touchscreen, it's much easier to control the buttons. The video is able to be displayed, much cleaner. Playback is going to be a nice size screen. You're not looking at a little tiny screen for your playback of video. Connection to the video doorbell. Someone rings the doorbell, that whole screen pops up with the video coming from the doorbell, and you're instantly talking to the person and seeing the person there at the front door. So this is really, we get a lot of the wow factor from this when you see it on display. Our video doorbell. This video doorbell is, like I said, very, very fast. Even if it's on the app or on the touchscreen, it's going to be a very fast connection. It is also the only video component that is proprietary to us. You'll see here in a little bit that we can actually bring any on-VIF camera into our platform and be able to bring those video streams into it. So I tell all my dealers, use our video doorbell, because if you need a doorbell, it's the only one that's going to work with it. But keep using those on-VIF cameras that you've been using in the past. Pick the cameras that you want to connect over to the Ezlo platform. And now we can have those streaming on our app. We'll be able to record some events that happen on Ezlo that those cameras can see, store them to our video cloud, and be able to play those back on our app also. We have our own Z-Wave thermostat. This was just released early last year. Works off the Z-Wave 800 format. So any of you that are familiar with that, it can be a long range, thermostat. So if you have a really remote area, maybe for some reason a shop out back that happens to still be on your network, but maybe not quite far enough, for standard Z-Wave, this one will be able to reach it with no problem. This is that smart water shutoff valve. Like I said, there's two different versions. Does require a ball valve to go along with it. That ball valve size is going to be 3/4, 1 inch, and 1 1/4 in size. It does have to be installed by a plumber, but we felt when we were coming out with this one, what's the right way to do it? And we feel this is the best way, not just taking some device and clamping over the existing one and manually turning it on and off with the controller. This one actually goes in line with the main incoming line. And we recommend programming it to turn the water off, at maybe 2 o'clock in the morning once a week. The reason we recommend that is those calcium deposits can build up on that line. And if you get enough of it built up on there, you won't be able to turn that off. We've actually seen that happen with the old-fashioned arms. Nobody ever goes out there to turn it off. And then when they need to turn it off, they're unable to move it. So we recommend when you install this, create an automation scene that shuts the water off for 30 seconds, 2 o'clock in the morning. So now let's get more into Ezlo Protect itself, the platform that we're here to learn about today. So, we're trying to revolutionize the security industry. We actually came together when we started developing this product, and We got with a lot of dealers that we had known throughout the years, all across the country, and said, "Hey, we're looking at developing this new platform. What is it that you would like to see out of the platform? What are the pain points that you've been seeing out there? And let's see if we can kind of take away some of those pain points." So, how do we do it? We lowered some of the hardware costs. We lowered the back end service fees. We give you more flexibility, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We want you to use your brand. It doesn't need to say Ezlo over everything. So we're going to allow you to upload your logo and your company colors into all of the software so that when your customers are utilizing the system, they're going to see your brand, not Ezlo. We can also provide you marketing assistance. Again, we'll touch on this a little bit later. But if you need help developing landing pages, brochures, flyers, we have the marketing team that'll help you do that, and it's at no cost to you. So this is some of the things that we're trying to do here. When I talk about those pain points that we got from the dealers, you can see them here on the screen, and I'm not going to read them off. Everybody, I'm sure you're familiar with all of these. So, are we going to be able to, check them off, all at one time? No, there's some of them on here I think we're still working on, but we want to provide a platform that we can truly say we had input from the dealers, we implemented that input into the platform, and now it's available for you today. So when you go back and you look today at what the standard smart home security system looks like, it's going to do Z-Wave devices, lights, locks, and thermostats. You're going to have that security component that has to be connected with it. You're going to have limited camera options that you can do, limited Wi-Fi integrations, not very DIY friendly if you ever want to move into that space. And most of the scenes, those automations are based off of local devices. So we changed that up a little bit. So yes, we still do all the Z-Wave stuff. We do everything that was on that previous screen, but we now have a smart home only option. You don't have to buy the Ezlo Secure Hub with all those security components in it. You can buy a smaller, less expensive hub and be able to provide a smart home only, giving you that flexibility that you need to work. Give your clients, give your builders the flexibility that have a system designed the way that they want. So we can have unlimited on-with camera options. What I mean by that is keep using that video system you've been using. Bring in that digital watchdog. Bring in your in-vid cameras. We can take that video system into our platform. We're not asking you to change that at all. We have unlimited Wi-Fi integrations, unlimited local mesh bots. You can create as many automations scenes as you want. We have cloud mesh bots. So now you're not dealing with just local devices that are there on the system, but we can now talk to things in the cloud. A lot of times that's going to be an IP device where we have to go through a third party's cloud to be able to integrate that. But it's also things like Google Sheets. So if I want to download the event history buffer from my panel once a week, once a month, once a year, I can now tag that information, download it into a Google spreadsheet, and then I have that automatically emailed to me once a day, once a week, once a month, however you want. So now we're using that cloud for doing various things other than just creating automations and scenes within the system. And then, of course, you add the Zigbee devices that go along with that. So we're not only relying just on Z-Wave, we have the Zigbee capabilities also. Looking at the dashboards, there's two different dashboards. You're going to have one as a dealer. This will be your primary interface to create the accounts, create your customers, provision them before they're installed. And then you have the customer portal where I don't see this being used a whole lot by the end users. They're going to rely on that app, but they do have that available to them. And like you see on here, wherever it says Ezlo, all that's going to be replaced with your logo. The menu options will be in your colors. So that dealer portal is, that's going to be your main management tool for the entire system. One of the things that we did here is you don't program the system via the touchscreen because it might not be on every system. You may have just the app. So we created the installer app. So the Ezlo Protect installer app is going to be the only tool your installer needs to program that system. One of the steps when you provision the customer into your dealer portal is you select an installer or maybe a group of installers to assign this account to. And then when they open up that app, they will see the list of accounts that they're assigned. And then they can click on that and it'll just walk them step by step what they need to do when they're on site to get the hub online, to learn in the devices. We took a lot of the ease of installation from our DIY side and brought it over to the professional security installer side. So your learning curve for new techs can be much lower. You're going to be able to get those systems installed much faster. The Ezlo Protect app itself is the primary interface that your customers are going to use to control the system. They'll be able to do everything they need right here. They can create automations, add and delete users, add and delete pin codes, operate obviously the entire system, fire off the automations, view all the live and recorded video all from this one app. So this is where we get into, all right, these are what I call the talking points. These are the things that when I'm meeting with a customer, I'm sure to, in front of them, I'm pointing these things out. It kind of shows where we think we're different than our competition. Customization, I've mentioned that many, many times. You know, being able to upload your logo, have that logo show up in the Ezlo Protect app, on the customer's portal, inside the touchscreen itself, have all those menu options reflect your company colors. To me, it's easier to do that than having it etched onto onto the edge of the touchscreen or on the pub that's hidden in the closet somewhere. On-VIF capability, this has been really huge for us. Being able to bring those third-party cameras into the platform, not forcing you to use a proprietary camera. Just bring the video cameras that you want over to the Ezlo platform. The example I typically give is, hey, I've got a camera that's on my front porch. From that camera, I can see 3 windows. I can see my front door. If any of those windows or doors open, I can make that an event on the Ezlo platform that will record the video from that camera and send it to the Ezlo cloud, being able to play it back later. So that's just a very simplified way of how we would actually utilize that system. The other thing that we're doing differently is if we are going to store video in the cloud, is we're going to store the video clips for 60 days. You're not limited to a certain number of clips per month. You just have as many clips as you want. We're going to store all of them for 60 days, and it'll be on a first in, first out basis. Pretty simple. That 10-inch touchscreen, that wow factor that we have, being able to see that 10-inch touchscreen and be able to clearly see all the menu options, be able to control the system without getting fat fingers, like I like to call it on some of the systems. It's very, very easy to manipulate. And again, being able to have that PoE connection to it. I've seen a lot of auxiliary touchscreens that are Wi-Fi only, and a lot of times you go up to them, they're offline. So now you have the option of hardwiring it into the Ethernet and then the added capability of PoE. Fast doorbell, not much more to say about this. I will say that it can be Wi-Fi or Ethernet connected. So again, you're not relying just on the Wi-Fi connectivity for your doorbell. Again, another one of those products that tends to drop off quite a bit. If you're pre-wiring a home, or if you can run Ethernet cable to the doorbell, we have the ability to do that. It is not PoE. You will still rely on power from your doorbell, but you will at least be able to get the doorbell online to the network via Ethernet. Again, talking on the radios that are built into that Zigbee Z-Wave, LTE, and the 345 megahertz. And here's another one, 90-day integration guarantee. This is probably going to come more into play if you're working in the builder space. So your builder today, a lot of times, is dictating the smart devices that are going to be installed in the homes. That device may or may not be integrated with us or our competitor's product. So we can take that device and then we can do that integration in 90 days. Now, I always point out there is a little caveat here. Okay, if it's a Zigbee or a Z-Wave, that's pretty simple. It's probably going to work out of the box through a generic format, but we can still do a direct integration to it, so it kind of walks you step by step on how to install that product. But if it's IP, we're really up to the mercy of the original manufacturer, right? So if they don't have an API, we'll have to work with them directly to see if we can get an API from them, or if they will allow us to develop the API. And I've actually seen many times where the manufacturers, nope, we don't want to integrate with anything. We're just going to use our app if anybody wants to do it. I've actually got some IP thermostats that are made for the RV world, and I got a hold of them. And, hey, listen, I'd really love to take your thermostats and integrate them into our platform. You all have an API, and they said no, and if we did, we wouldn't release it to anybody. It's going to be just so you are up to the mercy of those third-party manufacturers. Here's the big one, back-end service fees. So, one of the things we're trying to help dealers do is cut the cost of those back-end service fees. We can do from $0 a month to $7.50 a month. So if you look at the screen here, we have several different options. The first two are brand new that we just launched last week. I need to actually change this screen. So you have the Protect 90. This is mainly going to be used for those dealers that are working in the builder space. where the builder wants to provide all the features of the smart home, but not obligate their home buyer to a monthly fee. So we're going to give you, the dealer, the ability to select this service package. It'll give the homeowner full access to the system to be able to fully locally and remotely control the system, record video into the cloud. The only thing they're not going to have tied to it is central station monitoring. It can still be a self-monitored system. And we're not going to charge you anything at all per month. Now, what you need to tell your customers, if they buy it, if you're promoting this package, that, hey, you're going to have full use of this system for 90 days. After 90 days, it's going to revert to the next system that you see below that, which is Protect Lite. That's when we start removing a lot of the features. We remove some of the remote access. We'll remove video storage in the cloud. Hopefully designing it to where, okay, I've been using this for 90 days. I really like it. Now I can't use it anymore. Hey, Mr. Dealer, can you turn me back on? Yes. Well, then let's have a discussion about the different service levels you want to buy into. So this is an option for you. This actually came as a recommendation from one of our largest dealers. They were using this feature with some of our competitors' product, and we kind of took it a little bit different. And this is the result of that conversation. So it's not required that you do this, but it's there if you want to have that, as a feature to offer to your builders and to your potential customers. The other 4 packages, we have Easy Smart Home. So this again is a self-monitored system, no video storage. You can still have live video, but you're not going to have video storage in the cloud. Full local and remote control. You're going to have self-monitored security, and we're not going to charge you anything per month. So it's kind of just like the first one, but it doesn't expire in 90 days if you don't get the video storage. The next one is where we do add the video storage. So if you have the doorbell camera installed, you want to record events that happen on that video doorbell, $2.95 a month. That's what we're going to charge you. And that's not per camera. If you throw in 3 OnVIF cameras on there, it's still just $2.95 a month. So all that video storage for $2.95. The next 2 is where you're going to have central station monitoring involved, and we're going to do signal forwarding to your central station. So IP Smart Security is where you're going to communicate to your central station over IP only. That's $4.50 a month, and that includes the video storage. The next one, which is probably going to be the most popular, obviously, is where we turn on that LTE radio to back up communications via IP. And now we're at $7.50 a month, local and remote control, all the automations, video storage in the cloud, signal forwarding to your central station, all in at $7.50 a month. Builder Smart Home. So this is where we go back to the flexibility side of our product. So if your builder says, hey, I care less about security, I just want to market that I have a smart home, they can use our little Ezlo Plus hub for about $105, your cost. Install a doorbell, install a thermostat, install a door lock, and now that builder can say, I've got a smart home. They're happy, you're happy, customer's going to be happy. Then if after you close the deal, your customer, you may be able to work with that customer and say, hey, we can add security to this system. All we have to do is swap out that hub, add some security sensors, and you're up and running. We can even take those devices that were already integrated on the Ezlo Plus hub, the smaller automation only hub, and import them into the Ezlo Secure Hub. So you don't even have to reprogram it. We'll just pull them out of one, put them in the other, add your security devices, and move on down. Model home program. So this is something that we implemented when we started working with a builder in Florida. So if you have a builder that you're working with and you want to convert over to the Ezlo Protect platform, if there's competitors' product already in the model home, you need to swap that out. We're going to give you the equipment to do that from the Ezlo side at no charge. We don't see why you should burden the expense of swapping it out. The builder shouldn't burden the expense of having to swap it out. So if it's already a system you're putting in, or you're pulling out from our competitor side, you put it in Ezlo, we'll do that. We'll give you all the product at no charge. If you're going to do a brand new model home, then we do everything at 50% off. And then lastly here, we have our Premier Dealer Program. This is mainly going to focus around the marketing efforts that we can provide for you that I mentioned earlier. So if you're interested in this, you become an Ezlo dealer, I put you in touch with someone from our marketing team, and they'll work with you to help you design landing pages, brochures, flyers, anything that you need to help promote your business with the Ezlo product, we're going to do that. And if you have other products you need to put into that brochure, it doesn't have to be just Ezlo. If you're doing AV stuff, we'll put that in there too. As long as Ezlo is a component of the advertising, we're still going to help them work with that. And it actually costs zero for that. So, and it's open to any dealer. Doesn't matter if you're a small dealer that does one system a month or you do 100 systems a month. We're going to provide this service for all of them. This last screen here just is doing a snapshot of some of the better known brands that we've done the integrations with today. I'm sure you know just about all of them, if not all of them. It's kind of a quick snapshot, but there are thousands. Literally, I've actually drawn out the list. There's actually thousands of different devices that we've done integrations with. Now, pricing. So this is the Ezlo kits that I mentioned at the very beginning. So the Ezlo Secure Hub with 3 door window sensors and a motion, $299 dealer list price at your distributor. Then the Essentials Plus is where we throw in the touchscreen with it at $449. So we're hoping that at the 3.1 kit that we're going to be in that lower end of the spectrum. And then with the $449 price, we're probably going to be right there with the Pulses 2 gigs of the world, depending on how their kit is configured. So you can see we're doing pretty good there on pricing. And this is some of the distributors, here in the U.S. Wave Electronics, SES, Alarmax, Home Controls, 21st Century. Then up in Canada, we have Artec. So that is it for me.
Thank you so much, Ken. We appreciate your time. Now we'd like to open it up to any questions. For those of you that weren't on when I provided these instructions, there is a Q&A option at the bottom of your screen that you can click into and submit any questions. So if you think of any that you had along the way or any of our current questions bring any up for you, please feel free to submit some. And I'll be asking the submitted questions to you, Ken.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. All right. The first question that I see is, how many cameras can you connect to the Ezlo platform?
So we've ran some tests on this. I would probably keep it under 6. I've actually had my former boss. He had 6 cameras running on his system, and he never had any issues. A lot of factors play into that. If you're trying to do 4K, well, then you're going to cut it back drastically. It's going to eat up a lot of the CPU power of the hub itself because we're actually utilizing that as part of the process. So I try and tell everybody, if you keep it at 1080p, you should be able to do 6 cameras. 4 cameras would be absolutely perfect. So door window or the doorbell camera and 3 other cameras would probably be ultimate. But if you need to push it to 6, as long as it's that 1080p, probably.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question, can any Ezlo Protect dealer participate in the marketing program?
Yes. That was one thing I really wanted to point out was, when I start talking about that, a lot of dealers are thinking, oh, I'm not going to be big enough to qualify for that. Anybody can do that. I've got dealers that are just starting up and it's their first, system that they've ever installed. And then I've got others that are doing, 40, 50 a month that are utilizing the program.
Great. Sorry, my voice went there for a second. How many touch screens can you add to the system?
That's a really good question. There's really no limit because actually that touchscreen is nothing more than the tablet running our app. So it's really not like we're taking up any of the CPU power from the hub. It's not on a data bus or anything like that. It's literally sitting on the network running our app. So it's virtually unlimited.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ken. Any more questions from the audience? This will be your last opportunity. If not, then I think that's everything that we have for today. Thank you all for taking time out of your day. Thank you, Ken, for presenting all of this. We will have a recorded version of this webinar in case you weren't able to be here for the whole thing live. And yeah, other than that, have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank
Ken.
you. All right, thanks. Bye.